Welcome back to the Elias Macko Show. It's the second hour of the program. We'll be with you until noon. 10:06, is your CJAD 800 time. Now, nearly a year ago, 300 people were killed in an attack at the Nova Music Festival in southern Israel by Hamas militants. Of course, on that day, about 1,200 people in Israel were killed by Hamas. Now, one of those people was Montrealer Alexandre 33-year-old whose bravery saved 8 people as they sought refuge in a bomb shelter where he used his body as a shield to save others. Now, Côte Saint-Luc, the city where he grew up, has created a new green space in his memory. It is called Alexandre Luc Place. It's our pleasure to welcome the mother of Alexandre Luc onto the program. Raquel Luc is with us now. Raquel, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us, what should our listeners know about your son? Tell our listeners about your son.
Well, my son was larger than life, the most generous, unselfish person you'd ever meet. And the testimony to that is just like how many of his friends came in when it first happened, for the funeral, from all over the world, and came again this past week to be with us for the 11 months and for this ceremony. And nobody is surprised that he acted the way he did on October 7th. He was a protector.
What should we know about that day and your son's actions on that day?
Well, my son was at the music festival, as you all know. He loved music. He loved festivals. He lived in Los Cabos. He went to any festival around, whether it was in Tulum. So he was quite excited. He actually prolonged his trip to go. And on that day, he called me. So we were on FaceTime for this whole thing. First from a car saying, "Mom, we're under a terrorist attack." And at that point, I wasn't all that concerned because sadly, rockets happening all the time in Israel. And I said, "Alex, been to Israel so many times, this never happened." He said, "No, I've been lucky." So they said they had seen a shelter on their way to the festival, and they'd go back there. And they did. And he called me once he arrived at the shelter, and we spoke for over an hour and a half. And he said, "Why don't you put on the news? This seems like, it's crazy." And I said, "Alex, sadly, they never put on the news when we're being attacked. It's only when we retaliate." And then they heard from a wonderful Bedouin from the kibbutz guard saying, "Guys, it's crazy what's happening. There's been murders and attacks, and this is not great. Stay here." And he wanted to leave at that point. And everybody said, no, we didn't really realize the magnitude of what was going on. And I also believe that surely the IDF or someone was coming for them. If that happened a half hour away from them, help was on the way. But he was the only one. Everyone was just taking it very lightly. They were just like all, obviously drank, and we're just in a different vibe. But Alex was very at the door, looking up, saying, "We have to stay focused. We have to see what's happening." And he was, at that point, sending all the girls, go to the back. And all of a sudden, I hear shooting. I think that was when they got the Bedouin guard that tried to convince them, because he was also a Muslim, this isn't good, what you're doing, just please. There's your kids in a festival. They shot him down, and I said, "Alex, what's happening?" He said, "Oh my God, they're coming back." He was speaking of the white pickup, and he said, "Mom, I can't talk right now." And we heard rustling and hustling. Apparently, that was him fighting. He did fight the first Hamas terrorist with no fears in his eyes, and put up a pretty good fight until these cowards, because none of them were armed, obviously. They were at a festival for peace and love, shot him. He was apparently the first to get shot. And the row behind him, and so that this way, in the back, they were able to hide behind the bodies, due to how we had the survivors. Who called me later and explained that they kept coming back and they threw grenades on them. They saw things they can't unsee. And after all the shooting, I dropped the phone. I felt I knew what happened, even though I didn't know for sure. My husband picked it up to hear. He could hear anything at all. And he heard, Allah Akbar. Yes, they do this in the name of God. And then the waiting began to know exactly. In my head, I prayed that maybe it was like we're driving by and they shot whoever they. I didn't realize they actually got off and the trucks and related and kept going back for more. So, and then we put on the TV, we waited, and then we saw more injuries than deaths. So we prayed, and if anyone was strong enough, street smart enough to have gotten out of this, it would have been Alex. But sadly, through one of the survivors, we reached out to everyone we knew in Israel. Who was with Alex? Where was Alex? So the friends started posting, has anyone seen him? And so a whole night passed. It was like midnight here when we finished our conversation. And by about 8 in the morning, got the confirmation, and they had a hard time telling us. I think they knew even before. Obviously, this isn't easy to say to somebody, and they all loved him so much, and we're all praying it was a mistake. But then the survivors called and said they saw him when they finally got rescued in the front of the shelter.
Raquel, we're with Raquel Look, the mother of Alexandre Look, who was killed on October 7th, 2023 at the Nova Music Festival. Raquel, you've gone through every parent's nightmare. And it's to lose a child. I can't imagine something I never want to go through. Obviously, God forbid. But there's a special part of the circumstances you're in, because since October 7th of last year, whether it's news of coming out of Israel, news of hostages being found or rescued or killed, is it on repeat? Is it on repeat even more so for you? Because the news is relentless?
Yes, there's always something new coming out. Even of Alex's shelter, we had the unfortunate, or a blessing, I guess, we heard the audio of his shelter. We heard him even trying to plead with the terrorists, saying, "Khalas, khalas." Then there was another video of his boot found outside the shelter. His favorite boots for dancing, he used to say they had traction. It's heart-wrenching. It's never-ending. And losing a child is obviously the worst thing that can happen to anyone. But unexpectedly and this violently, and having heard it, is a new layer of trauma that I don't wish upon anyone.
Raquel, can I ask you, in the time that we have left here on air, can I just ask you about the community support, and obviously Côte Saint-Luc dedicating a green space in the memory of your son? Can we touch upon that? How has the community support been since that day and up until this day?
Well, thank God. That's what kept us from totally losing it. We felt that the whole community, literally strangers, all of us, were grieving together for Alex, whether it be Federation CJA that helped in everything from getting him home to organizing, just keeping us sane. The synagogues, so many of the Chabads are now our family from the day one. Obviously, who could cook, who could think of food, meal trains, strangers every single night bringing us food, honoring him in so many ways, keep making sure to put a light on his life, that people know who he was and what he did that day and how brave he was. And of course, this past week with the 11 months, everyone coming in, even his rabbi from Cabo, support has been unbelievable. But the naming of the green space in the city of Côte Saint-Luc, where he grew up. Mayor Mitchell Brownstein and his wife Elaine have just been remarkable in making sure that no, this is not going to just go. People have to know who he was, and it symbolizes so much more than just a green space. It's between a synagogue and a school he attended, and on that same green space there are chuppahs where young couples will get married. In the synagogue, next to the green space, there will be brises celebrating new births. The school will continue teaching, and knowledge and wisdom will go on. So they tried to destroy us, but they never will. And this green space is a testament of how we win by doing something positive and beautiful, and remembering all those beautiful souls we lost on October 7th, and all the hostages we lost while they were in captivity, and reminding people who seem to have forgotten really quickly. Like, this isn't the Holocaust. This hasn't even been a year. Reminding them of the massacre that occurred on October 7th.
Raquel, I don't want to, repeat something you've probably heard many, many times, but you do have my condolences and our gratitude for coming on and sharing your story and your son's story. I appreciate it. Thank
you so much. Thank you for putting a light on it.
Okay, be well and our best. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Raquel Look, she's the mother of Alexandre Look.